Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. The video that I'm going to put up today is all about this awful weather that we've been having to deal with, and you know, we've got far too much rain for this time of year. It's ridiculous, and we really can't continue working on our trees and doing most of the things we should be doing at this time of year because it's just too wet. You know, I'm not going to put a video up of me doing any sort of carving work or removing limbs of trees just for the sake of a video. There are reasons behind that, and you know, we were talking about it this morning, is if you're going to be chopping stuff off of trees or even opening the trunk up to let it callus over, and it's raining like it has been and it's constantly damp, then you're kind of open to infection on your trees, and you can't be messing about with things that, you know, you've probably been working on a long time, and potentially you could end up killing them just by wanting to remove something or open a wound up just to close it up a little bit more. Really wouldn't be doing that. Another issue we've got that we spoke about is the fact of the matter is that there's a lot of people in this country, unfortunately, that will buy a tree and it will be planted in a certain type of medium and they will leave it in that. And problem is if you've got a tree from, let's say it's been imported from Japan, the sort of soil that they will use in Japan is just no good in this country. You really have to be careful about your watering regimes when it comes to, you know, obviously it's going to be too late if you've just bought the tree now. You're not going to repot it right away, yeah? But what I'm saying is you're going to have to think a little bit more about how you're watering that tree, and if you're not thinking about that, then again you open yourself up to problems. I'm quite fortunate because I've learnt a little bit more about what to plant trees into, so you know, I've got a very open soil with most of my trees. I've got a couple of trees that I've bought this year that I will be repotting in spring and getting them into something a little bit more free draining, but there's a lot of people that aren't aware of that's what's got to happen. So I'm going to try and explain to you a few little things that you could do if your potting medium is from, you know, the Japanese soil that they've got in the growing fields, or even if you've got like a mix that's, you know, quite peat based. We need to get you on board and thinking about letting that excess water that we've got at the minute just draining away, rather than them sitting around in it, because that's really not good. Okay, so I got this piece of wood, it was a doorstop, and all I would be doing if I didn't have the decent soil is propping up the tree like that, and then what can happen is all the excess water can just run away, rather than it be sat in the pot all the time with that horrible soil that you've got and just destroying all the roots that you've got in there. See, the tricky part about this year as well is we have to be certain that there's enough water in the pot. So just because the surface looks damp, it might not be damp all the way through. The best thing to do is if you pick the pot up, if it feels heavy and you know there's enough water in it. If it's not, then you know it needs some water. Another thing alongside that is, obviously with our fertilising, we should be really heavily fertilising this time of year with liquid and organic, and me and Mark were discussing this also, is that when it's this wet at the minute, the last thing you really want to be doing is putting any type of liquid fertiliser on top of the already damp soil, because A, you've already got water in the pot, you don't want to be adding water to it, and B, all that's going to happen is it's going to rain and it's just going to wash it away, so you're kind of, in effect, you're wasting money. We agreed, I think the best thing for this point where we're at is just to use your organic fertilisers, because at least we know that you're not adding any more water to the pot. Obviously I would really like to be giving my trees that extra boost with the liquid, but yeah, I'm just going to hold off for the minute because it's just not worth it. Problem is the weather's been so up and down that, you know, my maples, some of them are scorched, because what will happen is we've had really hot days that I couldn't keep on top of, and then followed by this extreme rain, and it's just ridiculous. I think I'm going to have to potentially look into next year maybe some sort of covering for my trees. I was talking about it this year anyway. I was going to try and get it done, but I'm definitely debating now whether to put some sort of shade netting over the top, at least something. I can control the moisture a little bit better, I can control the sun a little bit better as well. If we have now like a little bout of hot weather, then our trees are then going to go, oh nice, and start growing and pushing out growth, and it could be that we're on the back end of going into autumn, and it could really mess them up, and we don't want that either. I'm going to have to look at potentially putting a few trees into the greenhouse maybe, and just protecting them a little bit. So on top of bad weather, I've also had to deal with vine weevil, and they've taken out, don't know if you remember my first ever video, I had a European hornbeam that I repotted, and they basically ate the roots and killed the tree. I had a nice little batch of Zelkova seedling as well, and I think out of about 11, I think I've only got 4 left, because they basically munched the roots on those as well. So yeah, it's not all great in this hobby. You know, we have problems, all of us have problems, but you just try and deal with it as best as possible. Most of my potting medium is kind of a 50-50 Akadama pumice, but what I'm going to potentially start doing is adding a bit more pumice in. I don't know whether to use Kiryu or Kyodama in with it as well, but I just need to start controlling this moisture a little bit better. I hope you liked that little video. If you did, could you just hit that like button for me? And if you haven't subscribed, could you subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. And thanks to all my people that continuously watch my videos and have subscribed already. But yeah, take care of yourself, and I'll see you again next week.